Story 1. There's basically two ways that I've seen. 1. Start a business that somehow manages to find its way into a very profitable niche. Take that business as far as they can and then sell it. Get into a relatively high-paying professional career that allows them to actually build up some serious play money, and then, instead of blowing that money on lifestyle creep, make excellent and/or lucky investments. Story 2. They did a survey of millionaires, and the overwhelming majority of them had one thing in common: a background in engineering. Get a good education, then become an engineer. Avoid medicine. Some of the poorest rich people you'll meet. Source: I am an engineer who went to medical school and now I am a doctor. Story 3. Depends on how you define wealthy. I do not consider myself wealthy per se, but the poor kid that I was growing up probably would. Education, being bright, working reasonably hard, being disciplined with savings, essentially learning to delay gratification. More specifically, the practice of law is a pretty egalitarian profession. Get good grades at good schools, and your starting point matters a whole lot less. Story 4. Without marrying, becoming a successful YouTuber, streamer, athlete, artist, or winning the lottery, I would say: 1. Graduate in a good field, such as medicine or science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. Get a decently paying job. Live way below your means. Invest 15 to 30% of your salary in stocks or exchange-traded funds for many years. Pray to God the economy doesn't collapse. Retire at 60 with a few million. Story 5. Depends on what you mean by wealthy, but if you're thinking of a nice house, 1 to 2 international vacations a year, and comfortable retirement at 65, then by far the most common way is by working a job, saving, and making safe investments. Story 6. Starting a business is a realistic way of becoming wealthy, but not guaranteed. Although even then, starting a business usually requires having some financial safety net already. Professional services like law, accounting, banking, or medical fields can be an accessible way of becoming wealthy, albeit not necessarily tremendously wealthy. Some of the wealthiest everyday people I know are at the intersection of the two. Worked and paid their way through medical or law school and then eventually opened their own practice. They are not billionaires, but they want for nothing and enjoy their jobs and lives. Story 7. Here is the real answer. Pick one of the countless problems that wealthy individuals and/or businesses have. Work diligently to solve that problem in exchange for feedback until you become exceptionally skilled. Start charging a substantial amount of money. Story 8. Study hard, get a good career, and put aside a portion of your income into investments. Don't waste your money on frivolous, showy nonsense. That's more than enough to get you into the top 10% of the wealth curve. If you want more than that, you've got to start a business and get a little lucky. Take Sergey Brin, whose parents arrived from the Soviet Union with basically nothing but an exit visa. His father got a job teaching math at the University of Maryland while their family survived on charity donations. Sergey went to a magnet school, then attended the University of Maryland, and went to Stanford on a graduate fellowship where he met Larry Page and they founded Google together. So hard work, smart guy, right place, right time. Story 9. Work hard. Imagine the unimaginable. Have unimpeachable ethics. Be nice to others. And luck. Sorry to all the financial independents, retire early enthusiasts out there, but luck matters. But always remember, you make your own luck. Story 10. Being wealthy is unusual, so to be wealthy you have to be unusual. You have to be some combination of unusually lucky, unusually gifted, and unusually hardworking. You also have to be positioned to seize opportunities when they present themselves. You are not going to go out today and do something that makes you wealthy. What you might be able to do is put yourself in a position where you can get that great job when it opens, or start that business, or make that once-in-a-decade investment. Realistically, most people are going to be average or below average, and short of dumb luck, an average person is going to have a hard time making it to the upper class, or even into the middle class if they did not start there. Story 11. Opening a service-related business that provides solutions that only a limited number of people can do because the barrier to entry is too high for most. Story 12. First, define wealthy for yourself. Find a profession that will provide that. Educate yourself to achieve entry level in that profession. Focus on getting into that profession. Once in, learn the business about it and move up the chain or create your own business. All goals change with education and experience. Story 13. Go to work within a given industry, learn everything you can, then start your own business within that industry. You will never become wealthy working for the wealthy. You only get the real money in this country by going on your own. Story 14. Right off the top of my head, if you are super attractive, OnlyFans. Seriously though, nowadays, luck. Every now and then someone comes up with a truly unique idea, and right time, right place, right associations, and boom. My wife and I wouldn't say we are wealthy, especially for living in Silicon Valley, but we have also been very lucky. We bought our first house almost 20-some-odd years ago. Small starter house, not a great neighborhood, on a somewhat busy street, wanted to upgrade because we wanted to have kids and would need a bigger house in a better area, so we put it on the market right at the height of the housing boom, made about $200,000 profit. Literally a month later, the housing bubble burst and we were able to buy a much nicer house. Jump forward to COVID. We really didn't have much to do. Like everyone else, the wife is a nurse, so she was working basically part-time because she's surgical, and no surgeries were happening outside of emergencies. We were looking at our finances and realized we were being stupid and had most of our money just sitting in savings not working for us. So we started researching lots of different investments and what stocks we might like to get into. We had a very small portfolio, nothing to write home about, so we each picked a few stocks and dumped a good portion of our savings into them. This is when COVID was in full force, and the Dow Jones Industrial Average was down around 18 to 19,000. Today it's at almost 40,000. And last, I was a little into cryptocurrency mining, had built a 7-video card Ethereum miner that I ran for about a year or so. But during that hype, video cards were super expensive and hard to come by because everyone was building miners, and NVIDIA announced they were going to produce a crypto mining card, so I figured why not double down and get some NVIDIA stock. I bought a bunch because at the time it was only like $40 a share, and of course it went to over $1,000 and then split 10:1. I'm certainly no financial guru, but I've gotten lucky a few times. Story 15. First, define wealthy. That helps the exercise. But for me, for most descriptions, I grew up poor from age 10 on. Government cheese, no gas for the furnace in winter in a snowy state, 1 to 2 meals a day at times, and often noodles with margarine, etc. Pretty much working poor. By age 30, I had been in and back out of the military, honorable discharge, just did my 4 years and left. I was about $6,000 in various consumer and credit card debt. No persistent money in the bank. I spent to zero each pay period. I was driving a 15-year-old car that broke down often. I was living in a rented room from some friends and working for $13 per hour. My credit score was in the low 500s. So to me, this is pretty much starting from zero. I am 59.5 years old. I have $1.5 million in my 401k. Another $225,000 in a brokerage account, $40,000 in a Roth individual retirement account. I have about $1.5 million in equity in my home. We have a $100,000 emergency fund. I consider myself wealthy, especially based on my perspective from where I came. I'm sure to Richard Branson. I'm a penniless waif. I started working on computers when I left the military. Got successively increasing jobs over the years. Got some highly valued certifications at the time they were in demand. Microsoft Certified Systems Engineer, Novell Certified Network Engineer, etc. Elevated into higher and higher paid engineer positions. Went in-house and began climbing the corporate ladder, returning to finish my undergrad on my own dime plus a little GI Bill money. The GI Bill didn't pay anything back then like it does now. 5 years later, I returned and got a master's in management. Over the years, I've aligned more and more departments under my purview. I am a chief-level executive, and my annual pay for the past 5 years or so has been right around $300,000 or so. There's still a little upside potential, but not all that much before I retire, perhaps another $50,000 or so. One of the driving forces for me has always been to never be house or food insecure again. So I am overly cautious and an overplanner as a result. And I kick myself that I didn't start saving earlier and far more aggressively than I did. Sorry if folks were hoping for some flashy Bitcoin saga, some long-lost relative writing me into their will, etc. I just ground it out, balancing having a fun life with preparing for the future. Oh, and it really helps to have a long-term partner aligned with your goals. Although mine makes about one-third what I do, we've also been in lockstep about what to do with our money. One final note folks won't want to hear, but a huge advantage was never having kids. We have couples that literally follow our arc in pay and career, and they are far, far behind us in being ready for the future. It's the trade-off you make. Story 16. Choosing a job that pays well and then being smart with the money earned. As in saving and investing wisely, such as in the stock market or real estate, are relatively simple things to do for an average person. Story 17. Acquire education. Acquire a good-paying job. Pay off education. Stay out of debt. Live on less than you make. Resist lifestyle creep. Save and invest extra money every time without fail. Become rich over time. Story 18. Get a degree in something that is marketable and has income potential. Find a job where you can hopefully grow and have opportunities for advancements and salary increases. Live below your means while working and invest 10 to 15% or more of your salary in the stock market. Keep your standard of living low as your income rises, hopefully with age. Add more to investments as you get older. Take good calculated risks if you think they will pay off, and there you go. That's the basic way most people do it. Either that or throw caution to the wind and start a lucrative business. Hope that helps. Story 19. Get financially educated, land a decent job, invest, start your own business, become wealthy. Also, please take into account that wealthy means having enough passive income that I can satisfy my needs to achieve comfort and happiness. Not rich, I can light my cigar with $100 bill. Story 20. Working your way up through a career, saving money, and investing in something else. I met a man who was a homeless drug addict and went to prison. After getting out, he got a job, rented one room, saved his money, and purchased a franchise business. Now, in his 60s, he has around 5 locations and earns about $1 million per year from collecting profits from each franchise. They are all different fast food locations and one quick oil change place. Story 21. Either 1. High-skilled labor by way of education and buying assets while living modestly. 2. Open a business where other players in that market are mostly operating suboptimally and do better. Story 22. Crime also requires hard work and a fair amount of intelligence, but the potential payoff is unlimited. High risk, high reward. It may not be the most realistic option for everyone, but depending on circumstances, this is how many fortunes are made. Story 23. 1. Work somewhere where you learn the necessary skills to work for yourself, in a business field where making money isn't overly difficult. Work for yourself. Story 24. The self-made rich people I know invented things. The bulk of them created useful software that was sold for tens of millions. Others were engineers who designed useful inventions that people needed. Story 25. Marriage. On the other hand, it depends on where you are. In some countries, you can become very wealthy as a handyman if you are good at it and certified. An air traffic controller can earn a ton of money, more than every pilot. Story 26. 1. Get an education in a specialized niche career. These will vary depending on the market and your skills, but the less saturated the market is, the better. Almost anyone can flip a burger at McDonald's. A lot of people can move boxes at Amazon's warehouse. Rather few people can be emergency room surgeons. The average salaries reflect this. It doesn't have to involve college. It can be a trade. If it involves college, don't get one of those majors where there are 200 applicants for every halfway decent job. Be prepared to move for the right opportunity. Oh, you're one of those folks who needs to live within a 20-minute drive of your parents so you can have family dinner every Sunday? Be prepared to seize the opportunity. If you're in technology, you're probably moving to Palo Alto, California. Finance? Enjoy New York. Don't be one of those folks who turns down amazing opportunities because you just really love the street you grew up on in a small town in West Virginia. Spend wisely, don't blow money frivolously, invest. Story 27. 82% of earned first-generation wealth over the last 20 years is from owning a small business that becomes successful. The footnote said that included real estate purchases. Story 28. Historically, throughout the ages, poor people became politicians and rulers via theft, usually from military actions. Often, the theft was aided by established politicians who wanted lackeys to do dirty work for them. This still works. Story 29. Own businesses. Whether that is starting your own business or investing in someone else's business, this is pretty much the only way to reach real wealth. You can make more money owning a small landscaping company than you can being a heart surgeon or Wall Street banker. Story 30. Well, a friend I know married a wife who eventually got to the C-suite, and the company went public. 20 million in stock overnight, on top of that, a continuing 1% level salary. Story 31. Going into higher education with a plan is still the most realistic and common way to achieve upward mobility and become rich. It's harder to stick to the path and know what to do ahead of time if you're from a lower income background. But if you make good grades, position yourself early for relevant internships and jobs, and interview well, you absolutely will put yourself on the track to become rich in your 30s. People from lower incomes absolutely can become high-paying finance professionals, software engineers, lawyers, doctors, engineering principals, business executives, and so on. Work hard in high school and get into a solid state college. Major in finance, business, science, technology, engineering, or math, or plan to go into law or medical school. Make great grades and work early to get internships and accomplishments so that you'll be competitive for investment banking or consulting internships in your junior year summer, or qualified for medical or law school. Software engineering jobs are harder to get and lower paying than they used to be, but if you're good, you'll likely still find a cushy high-paying tech job. If you stick to the path from here and do well, you'll very much be on the path to a high-paying first job and decades of high income that will likely result in you being a multimillionaire. Starting a small business, of course, is another path, but it's way riskier and harder than the straight and narrow traditional university to high-paying job track.